Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Path Peeps. I hope everyone's well. And tonight, my special guest is Mandy West. Now, Mandy West is called the Haunted Historian, and you can find her group on Facebook. How you doing, Mandy?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. So pleased to see you again. It was actually
Yes,
great to investigate with you.
it
Um,
was great fun and a brilliant location,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that's right. So on Saturday, it just so happened that we both went to Wentbury Paranormal's event at Ashbourne Town Hall, and it was a great night, great location, wasn't it?
It was. And I'd done some research beforehand for Wednesbury, so I got sort of like an idea of the place, more the history than the layout, but it was really good to see it spring to life as it works. It's all very well and good sitting and researching and ploughing through things, but when you're actually in the building itself, everything kind of clicks into place. It's a luxury I don't often get to. It was really nice to go.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we have Catherine. Oh, we have this
Hello,
strange bloke called Neil.
hello,
Andy, hiya, Carl,
hello,
JC, hi everyone, welcome.
hello.
Yeah, so Ashbourne Town Hall, it's got the old history. It used to have a pub there previously, didn't it? Which was a bit ropey and colourful, let's
Yes,
say.
yes. There was. I mean, obviously, you got your normal sort of pub history that you'd expect, like bar brawls and gambling and then this, that, and the other. But there was also a side where, how can we put it, ladies of the night would frequent it and take advantage of drunken men, and lure them outside so that maybe their pimps, their partners, or whatever could basically beat them up and then steal the money. But
Oh
um,
wow,
yeah,
that's
there were
cool.
few unfortunate souls that didn't survive it, and you meant to be able to see them stumbling around outside.
Oh
So hi
wow.
Sarah.
Yeah, because I certainly I did some channeling because there's a great medium there, and I tried channeling, which was an interesting experiment, and I picked up on somebody very dodgy,
Hmm.
and it's very powerful as well. So
Yeah,
I
there's.
think the medium got caught out a bit. Well, he knew what he was doing, but oh my gosh, that guy was strong. But
Really.
yeah. Put it this way, the medium was sweating trying to get this guy away from me. But yeah, it's all
Right,
good.
which location was that?
That was in the main hall, the
Okay.
main room, yeah, because this guy, probably from the pub days, yeah,
Hmm.
1689, that was what was given. Because we then went to do human pendulum and I picked up quite a lot of information. Asked
Hmm.
it on the human pendulum and it was right. It was all spot on, which I got. So I was quite pleased about that. So he must have
Good.
told me quite a lot when he was like hanging around with me. Hey, Jeanette. Jeanette was there as well. So,
Hello.
oh, okay, we'll have to sort that one out, won't we? The reason is that my phone was near it, so we'll put phone away from mic. I was actually sharing because I can't. I have to share while the show's on. I can't find anywhere to put my phone, so I'll sit on it. That way I won't mess around with it, will I? But yeah, so hopefully that's all sorted, and hopefully I'll stop messing around with things. But yeah, fantastic night. So, where did your journey start then? What came first, the paranormal interest or the history?
um I've been asked this before, and to be fair, I did think really long and hard about my answer after I'd given it, but I would say it's probably the paranormal. I've always been a more interested in the sort of the macabre and the morbid, even from a very young age. And so that kind of led me towards ghost stories and things like that. And I mean, in my youth, there wasn't a lot, you know, you got your sort of like your pan book of horror kind of thing, but there wasn't a much to actually encourage you to do it. So if you were interested in ghosts and spirits and things like that, well, at my school at least, I was seen as a bit of an oddbod, if I'm honest. But it was a title I happily took because it was just something I was always interested in, and yeah, it kind of made sense to me because my grandparents were spiritualists, so they always leant towards that side, and I was fortunate enough for them to sort of like take me under their wing, and I was taught various methods of communication with the other side, and it was seen as something that was very normal. So, whilst it wasn't pleasant, if you did see something, you kind of understood what it was and that it couldn't harm you. And I mean, I was taught different protections and things like that. So I was felt quite comfortable in that sort of realm, as it were.
Wow, okay. So, what age did you start sort of encountering things which others
Um,
didn't see, basically?
I started. The first thing that I can remember seeing was when I was 4 years of age, and it was on the landing at my mum and dad's house. And they see from a very early age, I've suffered from nightmares, like very bad nightmares to that I've had to go on medication. I've had various
Wow.
treatments and therapies, um, and it was something that I eventually realised through my grandmother, that it wasn't a case of nightmares. It was what she called rescues, where spirit would come forward to you in your sleep and will give you your situation, you their situation, and they would be seeking help. So, and I continually had one. I'll call him a character at the moment, who would come forth, and he would always turn up, and I would see it as a bad thing. It would be a strong sense of foreboding and concern, and so I always thought it was something negative.
Yeah.
It was only years later when I don't recommend this, but I was actually working on a Ouija board with a couple of friends, and he came through, and his name was Serge. And I got the connection wrong, basically, because yes, his appearance did coincide with something negative happening, but he was there in a protective capacity, not in
Wow.
a negative one. So once I'd realised that, it kind of sort of fell into place, and it's not. I still get a sense of him around where you almost feel like you're being encroached on, or he gets a bit too close. So I mean, I had to do it yesterday, where you just sort of say, "Can you step back, please? I know you're there, and
Yeah.
thank you for protecting me." And invariably he does, yeah. So it's quite strong character, yeah.
Oh, wow. So, if he appears near to you, then you know that something's going to happen, or
Yes,
spirit
yeah,
around you. Well,
yeah.
is
It's
it life
basically like
is it life occurrences which may happen, or is it just on the spiritual plane? Do you think?
I think it covers everything. I mean, I remember being
Okay.
aware when my grandmother died before the family knew. I just got this horrible sense that something wasn't right. And I'd phoned my parents, and they were like, "No, everything's fine." And then, literally, after the phone was put down from me, it turned out that my grandmother had died and my dad had got
Oh,
called
wow.
across. And then there's other things like um, I did sense him quite near when I was in a difficult relationship, shall we say. So he sort of kind of covers all
Yeah,
eventualities. Yeah, yeah.
like a comforter as well, then, isn't he?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
definitely, yeah.
once you realise what he's there for,
Yeah, I mean, I wish
obviously,
I'd known earlier, in all honesty, because it took me to my 20s to realise that. And
yeah,
here's me thinking I'm being stalked by someone in my dreams, and it's not. He's actually there protecting me, which I thought was amazing. I just don't realise. I can't understand why I never understood it that way. Why I thought it
yeah,
was something negative to start off with. So I felt quite bad, really.
yeah. Well, he'd understand that anyway, wouldn't he?
No, no.
So, yeah, it's kind of beautiful in a way that you have got somebody so strong protecting you, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, definitely. I feel very lucky. I mean, I'm not too sure what our connection is, why he's with me or and I'm with him, but maybe that's something that I can work on and look into at some
yeah.
point. So, yeah.
Have you ever considered a past life regression then?
I've always wanted to do one, and I've recently thought long and hard about it. And a friend of mine has actually put me in touch with someone who's local.
Awesome.
Um, I've What put me off initially is I was told that once you undergo the regression, it's very difficult to you get flashbacks, and it comes through a lot clearer and sort of unannounced. So I've always been a little bit cautious about it, but it's something that I would definitely like to do, because the I had a relationship, like in the real world, with someone, and it was a really strange relationship. It wasn't a very healthy one at all. But I was convinced that the connection that we had, because there was such a level of familiarity straight on, that it was something to do with a past life. And I remember saying to my friend, when I first saw this person, my gut reaction was to run away. And I mean, like, physically run away, but I didn't, for some unknown reason. And I've learned to rule that for many, many years.
Wow.
And so, yeah, well, I do think there are certain people that come into your lives that you've got that connection with, whether it be good or bad, that you have known previously. 100%. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I hope I've sorted out my microphone problem. Thanks everyone for
Yeah.
telling me. Is it gone now? Was there an issue?
Yeah. I can hear you
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the bird won't wake up, which is why I actually wear that. Because as soon as the
Oh,
bird
right.
hears me talking to somebody, he starts cheeping. But then it is dark, so hopefully he's asleep. So yeah. But yeah, it's very intriguing. I've done a past life twice, and
Mhm.
I actually, well, I met you before anyway, Walsall
Yeah.
at a party, Wednesday Paranormal party. That was great, wasn't it?
I don't think I was there.
Weren't you
No.
at Walsall pub crawl?
No. Oh, yes. Yes. Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
you forget.
The para piss up, you mean?
That's the one. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that
that'd
was
be it.
definitely me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you forget it was that good.
Yeah. And I'm teetotal.
Sure, I
No, that was
wasn't
a
anyway.
very good night, and it was lovely to actually meet you because I know that like the Wednesbury gang talk really highly of you. So
Oh,
they're
bless you.
yeah, I felt very lucky to meet you.
Yeah, we're lovely lads, but then I've got to say that because I'm watching. So
Yeah.
hi. But yeah, thanks for telling me about Mike. But yeah, and after that, I sort of got in touch with you because I'd got some vague information about a spirit that I'd been maybe communicating with for about 5 to 6 years knowingly, but actually it was linked to my past life regression. And I passed some really vague information to you,
Hmm.
and you came out with some brilliant, fantastic information,
Thank
which
you.
backs up what I told you, really.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, the information was really vague, but on the bright side, hello, um, it made the net cast a lot wider, if that makes sense. So for me, sometimes if it's too specific, you struggle. But with it being as wide as what you told me, I sort of it was a good starting point. It was a very
Yeah,
good starting point, and it's something that I continue to work on because with any case study, if when I sort of ping the report across and say, right, this is yours and this is what I found, it is always a work in progress because if I can add to it, I will. I will
yeah,
go back to it and go, oh, I found this out. Is this relevant? As with the case with yours,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was. I enjoy doing yours because something very small was found, and then it made everything fall into place, and it was one of those eureka moments where it's like, I can't believe I think I've done it.
yeah. No, it's incredible because a while ago, about 5, 6 years ago, I did Paranormal Evening. Met this character. I've met him at a few locations. Also links with past life now, and basically the story continues. It's one of the reasons I'm late in doing my book because I don't know how to cover this one. So we
Mm.
work. It's just I'm just trying to work it out in my head how to what to do with this story. And yeah, and you just like had a name and you got a surname with it. And
Yes.
when I'm sure I'll meet him again in just over a month,
Yeah.
I'll actually find out more about him. And now I've got a name, I can ask him. So
Yes.
yeah, he will turn up because
You
yeah, I
can't
don't know
not.
why this spirit does like to haunt me. So hiya, welcome.
Hello.
So yeah, but yeah, it's fascinating the information you got, and also we're also looking at crimes related to that person as well,
Yes.
and
Yes.
what you tried people for, and yeah, you came out with some great names there, and it's for me now to look at my side of the research and see what I can find out,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's fascinating. So, did you like history at school?
Yes, I loved it. I did. I
Brilliant.
mean, I've always enjoyed history, more the morbid side, the things like the
Yeah.
plague, the executions, and the Civil War, and this, that, and the other. But then I went more into ancient history with Egyptology, which
Wow.
I really enjoyed. But and I worked at the Birmingham Museum for a small stint when I was an undergraduate.
Fantastic.
Right, pay. And I really enjoyed it. And I was in a job where I, excuse me, got to try on a ring that was Tutankhamun's. I
Wow.
excuse this, got to look at a jar of mummified penises that had fell off each mummy and things like that. But Yeah, I did really, really enjoy it, but then
I
it was
don't
almost
even want to know.
no, it was great. Honestly, I love working there. But it was more a case of yes, I enjoyed it, but I was more interested in the history that I could relate to, that I could touch and feel and
Yeah.
see, and that was invariably English history. Um, and it kind of led me more on a local route. So that's why I initially did the research for Bewley Museum. And that led me to do research for the Ghost Walk, which is on the go through Bewley Museum. And then further
Brilliant.
afield, it's sort of like I've always had a bit of a fascination with the plague, thinking that it hit the country so hard and fast several times. It must have hit my area. Yeah, I know.
Here we go.
So when I found that there were several plague pits in my area, it was one of those,
Wow.
yeah, big way moments.
Yes.
I realised it on New Year's Eve last year, and it was like the best New Year's present I could have got, which I know is a very strange thing to say, but that's how I celebrated the New Year. I looked for plague pits.
Oh, well, but yeah, we've got so much history around us, and
We
we
have
don't realise, do we?
no,
Like
and
back in the
invariably we link to them in some
1600s,
way.
like, you'd have whatever around the area, and it's
Yeah,
all gone now. And that
yeah,
what was it, and if you do get, well, plague pits, what things similar, it's just fascinating, isn't it?
it is, and it's a forgotten history because with plague
Yeah.
pits, there's no sort of names or details of the lives that of the people that were in there, and I just find that really tragic because that's what pushes me to do this. I mean, I did mention this on a previous podcast about African theology, there being two deaths. You've got your physical death, um, and then there's the death where people basically forget you, they stop saying your name. And that, when I read that, it really upset me because it's like everyone wants to be remembered, everyone deserves to be remembered.
Definitely.
And so that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to do, just to give people their names back and their stories back. And if you come across them on an invest, which we have at Bewdley Museum,
Oh, wow.
um, it's nice to recognise them, I think, and I think they appreciate it because I don't know if anyone else has found this, but when we do the paranormal events or any invest at Bewdley, um, it's almost as though we've built up a relationship with these spirits.
Yeah, I
There's
get
a
you.
trust element, and I don't know if anyone else has found that when they regularly look at a site.
Yes, you
Um,
do. Yeah, you
yeah,
do
and
need. Yeah.
I feel quite honoured, because there's a couple. We've got a dark spirit at Bewdley, and all that we were told when we took the site on is, "Oh, he hates women," and that was it, nothing else.
Right. Okay.
And no, he's not. He's not particularly a fan of women, but he's not aggressive, and we're starting to realise why. That
That's
there
a
is
big
two
one,
sides
isn't
to
it?
every story. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah, because I picked up on a grumpy man.
yeah.
I was doing an investigation. Everyone, oh, that's evil. Well, I actually realised he was frustrated because everybody
Exactly.
ignored him.
hmm
He tried to communicate, and nobody ever realised he was there, basically.
Yeah,
And I acknowledged him, and then you kind of realised he was also in pain.
yeah,
So that was why he was the way he was, and he wasn't evil at all, and it's like, oh wow, and it's kind of emotional, isn't it, when you realise
I
that?
agree. No, I agree because I think what I would like to do, like I said, it's not ideal because it will put a lot of people out of jobs, but I do believe that there are some of the spirits remain because they need something to be found out or something to be told or they need to be recognised. And I think when you do invests and you realise that you're communicating with people that have existed, because that was really what pushed me to do the research. We were getting names at Bewdley Museum, and I wanted to know if they were actual names of people who were there. Um, and we did. After we'd done the first invest, I sat down and went through records and archive materials, and I found that the names we were getting were people who worked there that were on the censuses.
Wow,
And I think it's just that acknowledgement that there's a reason why they're still there,
that's
whether it's
right.
out of routine, whether it's because they're stuck. Um, and I just like the idea that maybe if saying someone's name to them again and saying, "Well, I hear you. not necessarily I see you, but I feel you. That might be enough to help them to move on. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah, I was at National Justice Museum, and there's one area which was called Rawmarsh, which is like a really rough area of Nottingham at the time.
Hmm.
You know, poverty and everything. And I picked up on this bloke. There's a circle and there's a medium just chatting, you know. And there's this bloke. I saw in my mind's eye approaching, and he was dragging something along, and he's making such an effort to join us when we're standing in a circle.
Hmm.
And it, and when I acknowledged him, the whole energy, the environment just changed,
Yeah.
and everyone felt it's like just like a lift and a release, and it was so beautiful. And you know, when I looked at it later, it was ball and chains. He
Oh,
had his
okay.
hands cuffed. That I
Hmm.
knew. I knew his hands were tied. Didn't realise he was dragging a ball behind him.
Hmm.
And oh wow! But once you recognised him, and you know, said, "Oh wow," you know, you made such an effort coming, this
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and thank you so
Exactly.
much. And that was it. Off he went, and
Hmm.
that was really beautiful. And you know, it's when other people experience the same sort of feelings as well.
Yes. It's validation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just a fascinating world, isn't it?
It is. No, it's the unseen realm, and I just think that. I mean, I remember reading somewhere. I don't know if it's. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that there were more encounters with the paranormal during COVID, and I think that was because people were forced to slow down and look around and see what was happening around them.
Yeah,
Whereas I think we would all be surprised if now, obviously, life's technically back to normal. If we all slowed down again, would we be noticing more things? Because people are in that much of a rush to actually take in the little anomalies that are happening. They can just brush them aside and go, oh, it's this or it's that. Whereas I do think there's a lot that goes on around us all that doesn't get acknowledged or gets rationalized when it doesn't need to be
yeah,
rationalized.
just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
don't like that because I think if you can scientifically explain everything, it takes the magic out of the world, it takes the mystery out of it, and it makes it really
Definitely.
dull and grey and mundane. I like the little uncertainties and
Yeah.
the quirks and things.
Like, I love the idea of a Loch Ness monster. I really
Yeah,
do. You
yeah,
know, it's such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
yeah. It's
You
something
know,
that I've only recently become interested in, if I'm honest, and that's because of Neil Mitchell. He wants to go there, and I no, yeah, I would. I'd be curious. So yeah, it's like with UFOs. I've never been a big fan of UFOs, but I also don't think that we're the best that the universe can create. Put it that way. So I'm
that's
open
right.
to it. Yeah.
I've heard some amazing stories. Spoken to a guy called Preston Dennett twice,
Hmm.
and he knows so many stories relating to ufology.
Yeah.
He's spoken to a lot of people. He's done books on it as well. And just to hear the stories that he's coming out with, but
That's
for
more's coming out now.
different people to experience similar occurrences
Hmm.
in different states, in different parts of the world,
Hmm. No,
it's
exactly.
just similar as paranormal, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. But the thing is, I think people are more willing to open up and talk about it now because obviously that was the couple of months ago the conference at the Senate, wasn't there, where
That's right,
these three
yes.
military men came out and technically committed career suicide to all intents and purposes.
Yeah,
But for them to do that, there has to be something behind it. There has to be 100%. Yeah.
that's right. And Helen Sharman as well. She's even commented publicly as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
She was like one of the first women which went up, isn't she? So yeah, and yeah, it's just a fascinating world. And yeah, you know, like a lot of us, like I'm not saying everyone here, we have experienced things along the paranormal realm. Well, what about
Hmm.
Faye? What about everything else? You know,
Yeah, I think
we can or
we need to
cannot
start
say, and
entertaining
you
a lot of
know,
different things. Yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
just so much around us, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, which previously everything had been sort of rationalized. Oh no, it's this or it's. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, ones like Uncanny and things like that, where they
Yes,
are discussing case studies. And my view is like, so I'm not saying everyone is 100%, but what I find quite funny is the fact that you have skeptics coming on and they have to put so many conditions in place for
yeah,
this paranormal activity to happen. And it's like, well, what are the chances of all these conditions being in place at the same time? And I think it's more likely to be something paranormal than as extreme as well. He must have been standing on one leg, and it was a Tuesday when the moon was in this position and the toaster was on, but he'd had a cup of tea. You know, it was that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's why you saw that flashing white light. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why. Yeah. If someone was taking a photograph in the other part of the country and it just rebounded off clouds and things, and that's why there was a flash of light. So, no, I do find it laughable that people are so desperate to actually understand it rather than say, actually, I don't understand it, and make themselves vulnerable.
Yeah. Or is it the fact that people are scared to acknowledge that was something else?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 100%. I think
they're not going to say there's a spirit around because it's going to be watching them because they'll be scared of it being around them.
It will change their whole perception of everything about the afterlife, about family members that they've lost and things like that. And
everything people have been taught about.
Yeah, everything that people have been told is true. And it'll affect religion as well,
That's
because
right.
It's just a complete turnaround of everything that what a lot of people know. I mean, I'll go back to when like I said, when I was at school and I was seeing the odd bod, the weird goth and this, that and the other. And the difference is now is that what I used to do when I was younger, I'm now acknowledged for. That's the weird. And I just think.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I'm glad I stuck to being me. That's the only thing I can say. And I just think that everyone should have that confidence in what they think or they feel. And if someone's questioning it, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean they're right. Let them question it. As long as you know what you know, that's enough. Yeah.
That's right, because only you know what you experienced. And so do the people around you. Yeah. And a lot of the people around me, they question everything as well. So if everyone's gone through all the questions and something happens, then what? And it's there, isn't it? If a cat ball flashes, for no reason, on demand every time, and it stops when you say stop.
Yeah.
And it's there, isn't it?
That's intelligent interaction. That's someone who understands what you're asking them to do, and they are doing it.
That's right.
If you had a small child that you could physically see, and you're going, right, can you touch the cat ball? And he touched it. Can you stop touching the cat ball? And they stop touching it. You'll go, that's fine, great, well done. Well, what if there's a child there that you can't see because they're on a different level or a different plane?
That's right.
Yeah.
But aren't we terrible when we say, oh, do that? Oh, can you do it again, please?
I know. I always feel really bossy.
I do it. Yeah.
And then you always go, thank you, Spirit, because you've been raised to say thank you.
I feel guilty.
Yeah.
But, it's absolutely fascinating. And you can be anywhere. And, you can get it. I believe that everywhere has some spirit with it.
100%. You think that there's got to have been blood spilt on every point of this earth in some shape or form. And with death, I believe that energy doesn't die; it transfers. So it's got to go somewhere, and it can either sort of stay where it is and be brought back through certain stimuli, like the stone tape theory or place memory, or it's there continually, but every so often it will make itself known. That's what I believe. It's I think people have just got to be willing to have open minds, and I think when you have got open mind, you will see more because you're more. How can I put it? You're open to it, and I believe that whatever's out there or whoever is out there can sense that. That there's someone there who's receptive, someone there who is open.
And you get that on an investigation, though, don't you?
Yes.
If you're on a public event and you're with somebody who's been dragged along, they're not interested, they've come because of the girlfriend, the boyfriend, whatever, and they're like this, nothing's going to happen.
No.
We get it for the whole group.
Well, we get it for, like, at Bewdley Museum, we get...
Yeah.
It's mainly, like, entry level, the first ghost hunt people go on, and you get some that will watch all the programs and throw themselves into it with such gay abandon. It's brilliant. You can literally sacrifice them and get them to do anything and everything. But then there are other ones that you'll go like, right, can you call out, please? And they'll look at you like you're speaking in a completely different language.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to explain, you will only get out of it what you put into it, and that includes energy. If you're not going to talk to them, why would they want to talk to you?
Yeah, that's right.
And it does get, I know it's scary when you go on your first ghost hunt, but I mean,
Well, yeah.
for me, I was with Patience and my other friend Vicky. We'd not done one before. Like I said, always been interested in it, but never gone on a ghost hunt before. And the first thing this gent asked is, right, who wants to be locked in the haunted cell? And Pay and I just went, yep, that's us. We were completely open to it, but there was other people that were like, no, I wouldn't dream of doing that. And it's like, well, why have you spent money on coming on an event if you're not willing to try and put yourself out there?
Yeah, that's right. But like, yeah, I was so scared. Like my first event was 2003.
Yeah.
Galleries of Justice, National Justice Museum. And I was scared. I didn't know what was going to jump out at me or anything. And then I went to Derby Jail, and that was kind of small, that's kind of enclosed anyway. And it's like, oh no, is it going to get me? And you kind of lost that element now because you know more, you've experienced more. But oh god, it's still fun though, isn't it? It's even more fun.
No, it is. I mean, it is right that I think the difference is between attending and holding an event, because when I'm attending one, I enjoy it. I love it. It's anything and everything gets me going. Yeah. But when you run an event, and I think a lot of people will agree with this that do run events, you are there with your fingers crossed going, please make the cat ball go for me. Please, please.
That's right, yeah.
And you just, you tend to lose the awe of what's happening in front of you. And you're more relieved that these people who have paid to see them light up. It's lighting up, yeah.
Yeah, and you do sort of get the sort of flashy, beepy things out more as well for a public event where there are new people.
Yeah. And they've seen things on the TV where they're using this piece of equipment. Hello, Vicky. She was the one that we went on the first ghost hunt with.
Oh, awesome. Brilliant.
But no, see, whenever we do an event, I'll sort of obviously I introduce the team, I introduce the location, and it's like, right, in an ideal world, we will get a ghost in a sheet walking past you rattling chains, but more often than not, it is
brilliant.
More, exactly. But it's, as you know, and it's probably everyone knows, it's more subtle than that. It's like a sense of touch, a sense of smell, a name that comes into your head, or a situation, and it's having that confidence to shout it out, because there's no wrong answers. We might not be put my teeth back in, sorry. We might not be communicating with Fred, but it doesn't mean that Fred's not knocking around somewhere. Yeah. So I just wish people would be a bit more confident in their abilities and think, well, I do know quite, I am quite sensitive, but I'm not going to shout it out because I'm too busy rationalising it. Mm-hmm. It's like what we say with Estes. I always refer to it as like Tourette's. Just shout out anything that you hear, anything. It doesn't matter what it is, how weird it is, because you don't know what questions are being asked.
Yeah, outside. That's right.
Yeah.
We certainly had a brilliant one at Ashbourne Town Hall. So 3 of us did Estes. Mm-hmm. 2 were very similar in the results they were getting. But then when it was my turn, I was just coming out with totally different stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it was solid, and it was all the time. And we used necrophonic.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's different as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Tony.
Hello, everyone.
But Tony's awesome because he's got fantastic hearing.
Yeah.
And where I can hear a sound, he hears the actual word.
That's the key to it. I mean,
I can't hear the words.
Well, I can only really zone into Estes for about 20 minutes at a push, and then that's it. It's too much hard work, because you do really have to concentrate. It is really quite draining getting it. And there are sometimes when you think you've heard 2 words, so you're then agonising, which word do I say? And then by then you've missed it. So it can be a little bit daunting, the Estes, and you do have to be proper tune into it. But I that's my favourite form, in all honesty.
Oh yeah,
Estes, because when you come out of it and you hear that you've been having a 2-way conversation. I mean, I did one at Stoke Museum, and I was laying the coffin and the gent was sat in the electric chair, and we were having a conversation and we didn't even realise it. And it's when you come out of it, you think, this is great. Now tell me this isn't working. Now tell me this isn't true. So, yeah, I love Esther. Sorry, I've gone off on a rant there. Yes, Phil, I agree.
You are getting direct answers, aren't you?
You are. You are.
And it is so fascinating. Yeah, I do look at it, and yeah, we just had Tony, and I had brilliant experience. 2 hours investigating a cave with Tony, and we were just calling out, but we were hearing voices. We're getting pebbles. We heard sound of pebbles on demand and everything, and to get that in a wild location outdoors, you know, but nobody else was there, and it's just, it's awesome. But yeah,
no, I agree 100%.
Also, you know, you pick up on your own senses. As once, you know, I was on my own on a lone vigil, I was frozen. So maybe this guy was standing right behind me who was picking up on.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just so beautiful, and you can do it anywhere. But
no, I agree, absolutely.
Just make sure you're safe. And that's the thing.
You ground yourself. You make sure you're safe physically and spiritually.
Well, I'm naughty on that front, I must say. But hey.
What? How do you mean, like the grounding?
Yeah, we've had issues before, and we don't learn.
I learned the hard way with that. I used to run into each paranormal event and go, "Oh, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine." But then, as Vicky and Pay were both vouchful, we were doing an event at Jubilee Museum again.
Oh, wow.
And I'd come away the next day, and I was really annoyed because it was like, why on earth didn't we do the breast foundry? And it's like, what do you mean? And it's like, we didn't do the breast foundry. That is the prime spot. Why haven't we done it? And it was only when I saw video footage of me there that I thought, well, I was there, but I don't remember any of it. And that led to doctor's appointments, hospital appointments. They thought I'd got epilepsy, early onset dementia, or a brain tumour. But no, it was because I wasn't protecting myself, and I had several people saying, you leave yourself open too much. And these people who didn't know anything about me, they'd say, you are too wide open. So now I have to religiously ground, protect myself, and after every event I have to smudge and cleanse, and I've got a little
that is the best way.
Yeah. So never take any risks with that. I wouldn't, because it's no, I mean, even now I can't remember the time that I lost, but you know, it's one of those things I did learn the hard way, because some spirit will do that to you. They will get you to disassociate, and yeah, very strange.
Yeah, there's one time there's a few times that I felt tired, and it's more than tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, but when you realise you sort it one way or another. But yeah, it so happened that last time I went to National Justice Museum, that was the last time. Sort of got an attachment who he arrived 2 weeks before I turned up there, basically.
I remember you saying,
and Rachel Farrow, who was watching, she actually picked up that I got judged around me. So I said, "Oh, it's all right, it's all right." So I carried on investigating, and it just got a bit messy. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, that was brilliant. Oh yeah, you did, Rachel. It was good, wasn't he? He's my mate, and I'm going back to see him. Awesome.
So there's obviously some kind of connection going on there, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
You know.
No, this was ridiculous. So I mentioned this mirror earlier, which I've got in my cupboard. I got it from Phil.
Oh, okay.
And when he went to collect it, Phil went a bit grey. Well, he went in a blue colour. He looked shocking, actually. All the colour drained out of him.
Yeah.
And then he passed the mirror to me, and the lights flickered in his house.
Oh, okay.
So now the mirror is quite happy in my house.
The thing is that it's like it could have been an energy there that was just waiting for you, and it's your energy is enough to tolerate their energy and to be able to control it, and that's possibly why it's meant to come to you.
Yeah, I just stick it in my bag if I go somewhere to a haunted location. I might leave it in my bag and then see if someone picks up on it.
Yeah.
Which has happened. As I said earlier, I went to Robin Hood Legacy. It was in my rucksack, and somebody stood right near the rucksack and they felt like something was crawling up my leg.
Yeah.
And they're sort of complaining, oh, I've got something crawling up my leg. They didn't know what it was, so I moved the rucksack and they didn't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great validation as well.
It is. No, it is. That's the kind of thing that makes it worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
And I like to get information about things as well.
Slightly weirding other people out without them realising it.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I'll have to take it out and about with me, see what else people get. But yeah, Phil didn't want it in his house, nor did his missus. So.
Well, everyone's got to have a home somewhere, and it just turns out that spirit's home is with you.
In my cupboard with my 2 dolls and my oh yeah, that was good as well. That was fantastic. That was my fault as well. So basically, first time I went to Haunted Antiques, we found we could touch anything. So, which you can now, apart from what's under the domes. And there's this. It looked like a cheap doll, what you get from Benidorm or Africa. I don't know. It's just something, right? And I thought, oh, I picked it up, plonked it on the table. Something crawled out of that and up Phil's arm.
Oh my God.
And it went home with him and it was crawling around the ceiling in the house. And other people went to the house and saw it. So yeah, it went back and it went back with him.
Yeah, I should think. I mean, I'm quite. In the past, I've been a bit, let's say, frivolous with buying secondhand mirrors and this, that, and the other, and but I am very cautious now, mainly for my daughter, because it's a case of what I might enjoy dealing with things that go bump in the night. You know, like, she's 14, she's at that poltergeist stage, isn't she? Really, so I'm not risking it.
Yeah, I called it itchy and scratchy because it had claws and it didn't galloping up his arm. Yeah, so. Yeah, so it's just like weird, isn't it? Because my mum-in-law gave us some cards. So she got them from a charity shop.
Mm-hmm.
And every Friday, her cat went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gave me the cards and I salted them, which was annoying. I wished I hadn't.
Mm.
So I cleansed them. So, yeah, I was annoyed about that. But yeah, every Friday, her cat went absolutely mad until she got rid of the cards. And then they came and joined me, so yeah. They are my favourite tarot because they're the original ones I got.
Yeah,
I've got a few packs now.
What pack are they?
Well, I don't know.
No, because I use my my grandmother's tarot cards.
How beautiful! That's so. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I know a lot of people are like, oh, Rider in White, and there's that many sort of different designs and things now, which is brilliant because it almost
they are the good learning ones, aren't they?
I just like them because to me, they're old school. I've got the French deck as well, you know, like Tales of the Unexpected kind of introduction ones. And they're beautiful, but I just struggle to use them. So I just tend to stick to the Rider and Wait because it's like my nan's still with me when I'm doing the readings, you know. So yeah, that's why
maybe she is. You know, maybe
I do think she would be, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So do you do readings for people then as well?
I used to do them a lot, particularly when I was at uni, you know, I'd get people queuing up outside.
Oh, bless you.
But because I went to, I was at Westhill, which I don't think is a college that exists anymore, but it was part of Birmingham University, and it was on Quaker ground. So when people got wind of sort of like the kind of person I was, I used to get them praying for me in the chapels and things. Which was lovely. Nice. Obviously, it worked wonders. But no, I do a lot of readings, but I find them very draining. Then I restricted it to friends who I knew and I could trust. And then sort of like, you know what it's like. Normal life gets in the way. You know, I got married, got a job, kind of shut it all down. Whereas now I'm just picking it all back up again, and I do like doing tarot cards. I've got to be honest, because it's nice to. I don't. The way I look at it is, it doesn't give you what's going to go on ahead definitively. It will give you a heads up and say, right, these are your choices. Be prepared for these. And that's the way I like to look at it. I'm just offering some advice rather than
try.
Oh, yeah, it's all cast in stone and you're doomed. It's like you've got a possibility here. Consider it, and you know, and be careful with it. So that's
good. You've got so many strings to your bow, haven't you? You're not just the haunted historian.
No, I mean, I've
you do your ghost walks.
We do the ghost walks. We obviously do the invest as well with PMV.
Yeah.
I obviously do the haunted historian, which I love, and I've also got. I'll bring the cards next time I see you, Bab. And then I also do spell casting and crafting and things like that for people on which is familiar.
Oh wow, fantastic!
I've always been that way inclined, but I've really proper thrown myself into it now. Whereas I grow herbs in the garden. I've got a room in the house that's designated to doing that. It's
That's great.
Yeah, it's just took. The unfortunate thing is it took a bit of a back step because I didn't expect the haunted historian to take off like it did.
Oh,
No, I mean I love doing
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't get paid for any of it because I like learning and helping people.
Oh, bless you.
So if like last week I had to do research on a residential address, which is a little bit unusual because normally it's like the biggest homes, the venues that you do the hunts and invest in. Whereas I've had to do a couple where it's residential properties where they've got things going on that, well, I wasn't aware of what was happening with the last one I did last week. I was just given an address, but when I sent the report back, it all fell into place, and hopefully it will help the people who are helping the homeowner to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and if they can sort of help the spirit move on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was from my grandparents, really. It was a case of you help people when you can help people and you don't charge them for it. So that's why I will do spells for free. If someone needs help, I will help them. If someone's struggling with something going on in their home, I will help them. It's all about helping each other. That's the way I look at it.
That's beautiful. So do you do spells for the occasions during the year, like solstice and things?
Yes. Yeah. Things like that. I mean, Halloween's my biggie. Always has been since I was a child. We've always made a big thing of Halloween. But obviously, I mean, I'll do all the main sort of Sabbats and things like that. And I mean, I'd say my main line is more to do with, how can I put it? It's bringing out the positive in people. I mean, I deal with sort of fertility issues because it's something that I've experienced.
Bless you.
I deal with people who have got sort of lack of confidence, or if they're struggling in a real. Basically, what I try and do is do spells for what I've needed in the past. So if it's help getting out of a toxic situation, there's a spell for it. If you need help with fertility, there's something I can do for you. If your mental health is struggling, I mean, I always clearly say, do not consume and never replace it with Western medicine. I'm not saying stop your tablets and do this instead. No way. But I just think little things can be done to change the energy in the universe and around you to make things different. So
that is beautiful. There's times when you do struggle. And when you do struggle, things just do continue to go wrong. Is there anything you can do to change the way it's heading?
Yeah.
You can help yourself to some degree. Like, how do you raise your vibration?
That's an interesting one, in all honesty, because I think you can't do it yourself. I think if you're running on empty and things are desperate, I mean, I'll go back to a time when I was struggling, which wasn't that long ago. It was about a year ago, where I was very, very, I was in a very dark place. Okay. I couldn't raise the vibration myself, but I was fortunate enough to have friends to do it for me. So the thing is find your tribe. It doesn't even have to be physically people around you, just people online or a group where you can just help each other. And I think you can get your vibrations raised just by an empathy with other people. I think it'll be, how can I put it? It's a twofold thing. I like to think that if I'm down and getting energy and help, that I can store that and give it back to someone else.
Oh, bless you. Yeah. Because when I was struggling, things, gosh, I really have struggled in the past. I joined a drama group.
Yeah.
It was like, there's times I turned up and I was virtually crying when he arrived. But then by the time he sung a few songs and then someone forgets the lines or comes out with the wrong lines, you know, you are laughing. And, you know, it does lighten your mood, it lightens your energy, and things then don't seem as dark and they don't seem as difficult to deal with.
No, and like I said, I'm not...
If you're just trapped in your own mind and your own world...
Reach out to anything that you've got, whether that's Facebook or... I mean, like I said, fortunately, I had friends around me who were really good, but
brilliant, yeah.
There was someone who posted on Instagram this post about their mental health, and it was when I was probably rock bottom, and it was their post that, you know, resounded with me. So I reached out and said, look, you need to know you're doing a really good job here.
That's beautiful.
So if you've been in a situation where someone has helped you, do that. Tell them how good they are, because you never know, that'll give them the confidence to help someone else. You know, I think today society's too quick to criticize and leave negative feedback and things like that on Trustpilot or whatever. But how often do you get people saying, actually, you were really good at what you did, you're brilliant, you know, thank you, that little small gesture worked wonders for me. And I think maybe raise your vibration by telling people how good they are as well. You know, if you've got a low vibration and you're struggling, maybe reach out to a friend or if you've been in a shop and someone's done something nice for you at the till, tell them that. You know, I think it's not necessarily spiritual, definitely not ghost hunting or the haunted historian, but I just think if we all praised each other a bit more, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, that's
I'll help you film, not a problem.
Yeah, you know, like I've encountered things, and then when you see someone going through the same, you do kind of, you know that there is a way out, don't you? And that's it. And you do try and encourage and everything else. And you know, somebody contacted me the other day. You know, you just do what you can, don't you? And if you can help with the foundation, they've got to help themselves.
Yeah, obviously,
definitely. But
I'm going to contradict myself here, but it's getting the balance right as well.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't give and take. Like, for me, what I tend to do is I will take on different duties for people because I don't want them feeling overwhelmed. But then I will feel overwhelmed. And it's sort of like you have to get the balance right. How can I put this?
You can't take it all on yourself.
No,
because
that's right.
Like, you don't want all of their negative issues sort of passed through to you. So you at some stage, you've got to put the wall up to go, hey, I've got to protect myself.
And I do think
you can't take everything off.
Like, if you ever have struggled with things, this time last year I was on my knees. It was as simple as that. But I also know I had to go through it to be who I am today and to be with the people that I am today. So don't always see uncomfortable times as a bad thing, because it's almost like growing. I'm a great believer that what's meant for you won't go past you. So I think it's where it's called an acceptance of fate. Theologian, I think it's Nietzsche who said it, where you have to take on everything that you're given and go, right, I need this right now. This is why this is happening. So if a relationship is broken down, it's because it's meant to have broken down. If you know you've met a person that has worked wonders for you, you were meant to meet them. So maybe not so much see bad times as bad times, but more learning curves, I think.
Definitely, because my bad time was 2008. It actually got worse after that. You know, when you think you're at the lowest, you've dealt with that, then I was kind of pushed even more on, and then you just kind of fight, and you just think you're getting somewhere. Then I lost my mum, then I lost my dad, and it is a weird thing with these lessons, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. It does make you strong in the end and who you are.
But it's difficult getting through that time, because I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it always turns up too late, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But it's coming out the other side and going, right, that was a shit time, but
Mhm.
I'm through it. I've learned. I'm stronger for it. And look at all these people I've got around me. Yeah.
Don't you appreciate things more now?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Small things. Yeah.
Wow, even like I struggled with food at one stage, and now you know, like at one stage when I first like left school, you know, you got your first job and stuff, you know, out on a takeaway every night and everything, and then like you get to a stage where you can hardly, you know, afford anything, so then you like appreciate it.
Yeah. You
When
do.
you do, and now with the cost of living, at least it's prepared me for the situation when the
Yeah.
prices do get ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
It is there. Yeah, that's it. You know, when you do lose your family, it is different. But yeah, I do know my mum and dad are around me, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think people. This is the whole point of the haunted story, and I don't think when people pass, they disappear. They're just
No, that's right.
different, more difficult to see or to find. But you should still acknowledge them because they're still there. Yeah.
I think that there, if you open your eyes, you'll see.
Yes,
Be it a
100%.
feather or something, and
Yeah.
that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've just had a tap over there now.
Is that your mum?
There's nothing there what can tap, you know, it's not,
Mhm.
there's nothing there. So yeah, it could be. You know,
Yeah, it's
it's
probably your mum.
acknowledgement, isn't it?
Yeah,
But I get so many taps and noises or things falling, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, spirit. Yeah.
And my car does it as well. My car still does weird things.
I remember you saying before, I think it was when we first met, you were telling me about your
Yeah.
car and
No, it did it in
signs and
Scotland.
symbols.
It did a mega Mardy in Scotland.
Mm.
So I usually get the engine warning light come on, it comes on, goes off, so I know I'm going to get a damn good night of activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in Scotland, and I investigated with Tony that time, and it was like 14 miles down these little dark roads in Scotland. I was driving back to the campsite about 10ish at night. The emergency engine warning light came on, and it wouldn't go off. And it always goes off.
Mm-hmm.
I was due to meet somebody the following day and go around Ayrshire with them. And I didn't do it, you know, because of my car. And I didn't. And in the end, I met them at night. And, you know, like, is there a reason that I didn't do that? You know, did I need a rest? Maybe I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because the next day was quite hectic.
Yeah.
Because between camping, taking the tent down, driving miles, putting a tent up, it is tiring.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was like to enforce me to stay around the tent and just chill.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what
The
I
universe
did.
gives you what you need.
Yeah.
That's the way I always look at it.
But the way I was thinking, I thought, oh my God, you know, like 6 hours from home, if the car breaks down, it can be towed once. And like if I'm towed to a garage in Scotland, I won't get home because it's bank holiday.
Oh God, no.
It was also the Scottish bank holiday. So yeah, it's Friday, and I phoned like 5-6 garages, like, can you help me? It's like, no, we're on holiday. It's like, oh God, no, you know. And it's just one of those, isn't it?
It is. No, I agree 100%. But you were told what to do, and you did it, and it worked, didn't it?
Well, I had to, yeah. But actually, the car's been fine since.
Yeah. It just wanted a rest as well. So
it threw its wobble the other night when I went on the Friday night, but it didn't wobble on to go to Ashbourne, so
that's good.
That was so like, yeah, if I'm going to an event, then I don't know. The car usually tells me if it's going to be like a mad one or not.
Yeah, it gives you like a forewarning.
Yeah, because even when I went hot air ballooning, so I joined a club, and a lot of the time I didn't go up, so more times like you're actually going. So first time I went, the red engine warning light came on and I flew. The next time I didn't fly, no warning light. And then one day I was driving once again, and I knew I was flying. The red light came on, and the song on the radio was "Red Light Spells Danger."
I remember you telling me that when we were in the pub. Yeah.
That night, that event was when there's a slight hiccup with the landing. So yeah, I made it, but that was yeah. There's nothing like
taken care of.
There's nothing like a hot air balloon running out of gas.
You would not get me going in a hot air
above a
balloon.
town centre.
No,
That
you
was
will not.
an interesting one, but I'm here.
Yeah, brave.
Yeah, and I have done it after that as well. But it was circumstances what caused that to happen. There's so many things what went against us.
Yeah.
It was really weird how you're in alignment to land, and then the wind move you out the way. And like, just everything was going just to make sure you got in that situation.
Yeah.
And there's this great big, like, oh God, there's a takeaway, this great big metal chimney. Oh my God, and we hit it in the balloon and it wobbled. I thought, oh my gosh. And that was scary. And then we slid down the roof. But yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Ever the optimist.
Yeah, well, I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was a bit worried when I was like, decided to hide in the basket because we knew ready for impact. But yeah, it's fascinating. But I might rejoin it. I just took ballooning up to stop me from doing paranormal because I was trying to walk away from paranormal, and it nearly did, didn't it?
No, well, that's it. You got called back.
Nearly did permanently stop it. Yeah, but
yeah, at least you're on the right side of the paranormal, not the one that's being investigated.
That's right. But yeah, I probably will rejoin, but I've got to sort it because I can't obviously ballooning. You've got to do early mornings. And paranormal, you do early mornings, but that's when you go home. So, and I'm a night person, not a morning person, and that's why it didn't work. Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is. I've even got photos of where we landed. And we made the Sun newspaper within 30 minutes.
Yeah,
but yeah. So, that one I just wanted to hide about. Yeah. So, yeah, it's fascinating. But, yeah, circumstances and trials, what you face through life.
Yeah, it's seeing them as a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah. So, what about your ghost walks then? When are they? How often?
We tend to do them during the summer months. But that said, we have got one this month coming up.
Right, of course.
Have all sold out for this year, but we are currently in talks with the museum about putting them on again next year.
Fantastic.
I mean, it was great fun to research. It was, I mean, I've lived I have lived in different places, but most of my life has been spent in Worcestershire.
Right.
And I love the fact that anyone who goes to Bewdley will see it as almost like a bit of a seaside town kind of thing, even though it's nowhere near the sea. But
I've never been.
It's beautiful. It's very small, but it's beautifully formed. Small but beautifully formed. It's Georgian town with a lot of original buildings and features. It's an amazing town. But I want people to see the darker side of it. That's me being morbid again. You know, every New Year's Day they have a duck race where everyone stands on the bridge and throws the ducks. And I want them to know that many, many years ago, people threw babies off there that they didn't want,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I want people to know that the streets they're walking up and down are also the same streets that people will carry shrouded corpses on pub crawls on the way to the church. And I want them to know that. Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. You walk up and down the town and you think, oh, it's a lovely little town. Let's go and get an ice cream, some fish and chips. But where the fish and chips is where they used to sell the slaves. I want people to know all of this stuff because then it'll make them think a little bit harder.
It's our history and we've got to realise it.
Yeah, 100%.
And somebody said, Mandy Bell mentioned about statues and things, but we can't bury the past. It happened.
No, I was asked this on another podcast, and it's like, what are my views on it? And I think the only way we can learn is by acknowledging the past, that it happened, that it was wrong, and to learn from it, and also to not forget the people that suffered in it. If we completely obliterate it, it's almost cancelling out their voice as well. Like with the slavery thing, people were sold in Bewdley for slaves. A lot of them were they would have all been taken against their will, taken from families, put in places they don't know, probably couldn't even speak the same language. It happened. We can't ignore it.
Right.
if we were to, it's cancelling their voices out. It's cancelling their stories out. We need to listen and acknowledge what happened and learn. Definitely.
Yeah, that's right. Like where I investigated on Friday, before I went, I picked up something about that trade. And the people in the house knew the history. And like, is it a question you can ask? So I was just really vague and said, "Well, I've got links with Africa," and yeah, it's a linen trade. So they did have links with Africa.
Yeah.
And I was shown images from. I did actually go to Gambia, and I did meet ancestor of Kunta Kinte of roots. You know what the roots story is about, and I did go to areas, museums, and things which mentioned that industry. And that was what I was shown in my mind's eye. And then that was before I got to the venue. And then we carried on. And one of my friends, Julie Edwards, she just randomly said the word.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I got that at home. So it's nice for her to get that. But then we could check up with the guy who was so knowledgeable about the house and the family.
Yeah.
And that was it. So, you know, history, oh gosh, it's horrendous, really, isn't it? You know,
it is.
What has happened in history, but you know, it's fascinating. But it is what's made us, you know, the country and everything and the world as it is, isn't it?
It's not right. What happened isn't right. No one could ever justify it as being right, but ignoring it isn't right either.
No, that's the way I look at it. Yeah. So you do that then. You do your paranormal. So you're in a team. How many members?
There's myself, Pay. We have got Gareth who helps. Well, he's beginning to help us. But primarily it is like Pay and I. It's sort of
brilliant. You work well together.
We do, yeah. There's a connection there, and I mean, she's a psychic medium, whereas I'm more opening myself back up to that. But I mean, she's very good at what she does. Fantastic. She's very sensitive. Yeah, we're lucky to have her on board.
Fantastic.
She's brilliant. So hi, Pie. So, no, I mean, like for instance, the Four Crosses, when we helped Wednesbury out with that, I'd done research on it because I was always going to do research on it. And as we were doing the walk round, because I'd not been to that location before, and Neil was showing us around which rooms were which, and you know, she was going from location to location, and she was telling me things that I knew, but she couldn't have known because she hadn't spent 50 odd hours researching it.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's brilliant, and that's something that Rachel can do. Rachel Farrow, who's watching, and she'll go in a room and she'll say, "Yeah, I've got this," and that's a brilliant skill. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean, on a personal level as well, she's helped me because she found that I got like a guardian spirit looking after me.
Oh wow.
And she'd said to me, "Oh, the name Aggie, the Aggie, try that." And I just spoke to my mum and said, "Look, have we ever had anyone called Aggie in the family?" And she said, "Well, yes, she would have been my great aunt, Agnes. She died just before I was born, and apparently she was desperate to meet me. She died in the July, and I was born in the August, and it turns out it's her watching over me, which I think is beautiful because she never had any children of her own. You know, she was constantly lagging my mom to give birth quicker than she should have to meet me. And it's like,
right,
we might not have met physically, but it's nice to know that she's around looking out for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my great grandmother before, just before I was born, and similar. And she left some money for me, so that when I was born, you know, there's money, and it's like, it's sad. I didn't think about that until you mentioned that, and maybe they're around me.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance they are.
Yeah, that's right. It's not something I've ever thought about before because I didn't know them, but they're certainly aware of me.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I said to my daughter, like obviously there's grandparents that she never got to meet because they passed away.
Yeah,
but I would say to her, they knew you anyway because they knew you before you were born. That's the way I look at it, and I think we've all got that connection to people that we might not have physically got to meet, but we will know them in some sense simply because we share the same genes, or you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I might
Yeah,
not have physically met, but
it's amazing how you can have a chat with somebody and then you think, wow, you know, and the light bulb goes, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And I think that's one of the good things about the world. There's a lot of bad things, but I like the fact that just having a random conversation with a person can just
think, wow.
steamroll into something completely different.
Yeah, that's right. And conversation very often does on the podcast as well. So, you know, we've covered a few things and it is fascinating. So when you do go out, do you book places, or do just the two of you go out, or?
We either do, we go to like the Wednesbury events.
Yes.
So we've done quite a few with them, or we've got, we're doing a case study at a location that's near to us. So that's been an ongoing thing where the history there is very complicated. I mean, it's a church. It's a church that's no longer in use. It's been a site of worship since about the 12th century.
Yeah.
And it's purported to be very active, and it is from what we've seen. But I'm trying to establish, why is that specific location as active as it is? So I'm looking into what's been there before, the buildings that are around it, possibility of ley lines. There's water source, so I'm looking at water memory. But the site is, it's not your normal graveyard, because there's been, we've got a cage grave there, or a mortis safe. So
interesting. Yeah.
We're trying to establish, but the idea is that there was either a witch or a dwarf. So the cage is there either to keep her in or to stop people getting her out.
Yeah.
We've had exorcism that's been performed on the site by Richard Baxter, who's quite a well-known sort of theologian, especially to our area. So yeah, there's a lot of undertones and things. I mean, I've gone through parish records trying to find, there's two graves that are under question, and neither of those are actually entered on the grave site record. You know, they've got all the graves listed, who's what, where and when, apart from these two graves, which has obviously piqued my interest that bit more. So it is an amazing site, and we've had some really good sort of evidence there, some maglite footage. We've had at certain times of the year it's very active, so that's another thing I'm trying to look at. Why is it active at these times of year as opposed to other times of year?
That's fantastic. It really is.
It's a brilliant site, very brilliant.
I'm sort of intrigued where my house is as well, because I did investigation at the school around the corner. And the person said that all the area around here is an Anglo-Saxon graveyard. So I'm intrigued by actually what is in my garden. And that could be some of the reason that I do get all these
exactly
random, you know, and it's there, isn't it?
It's the energy that remains. The thing is, I mean, if it was a grave site, that means it would have been close to a site of worship.
Like this.
Why would the site of worship be in there?
I like that.
Alice has been very helpful. We've been having a good chat earlier.
Yeah, so my church faces west.
Right.
The front. Wait a minute. The altar is on the east. That's it. The altar's on the east, and the steep. Oh God, I can't remember. I can look out the window at it if it weren't dark. I look at it all the time. So the steeple is at the front on the west, and the big window and the altar is on the east. That's my church. So I don't know what that means.
At my site, there's been two churches built there.
Interesting.
At different locations. So I find that quite curious.
Yeah,
there's only one room that's still standing, and it was used for various purposes and eventually turned into like a residential property.
Was that more recently?
It was during the 30s.
Okay, because that didn't happen then. Because my mum had a shop which was built on a former chapel.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to have certain uses.
Mm-hmm.
My mum couldn't sell records, she couldn't have music. There's certain uses in her license that she couldn't sell as part of her shop. So that it's a bit strange that they could actually make a church into a residence then.
Oh no,
like
it wasn't the church itself, it was a room that was used by the
Oh,
church,
right,
a building that
okay.
was used, yeah.
Wow.
And
It's still interesting, yeah.
well, the weird thing is obviously this building was being used as a residential property. It's on the census and things like that. And one of the people who lived in there eventually ended up getting buried just outside the house, which I found very odd. Because the graveyard was still there, because the graves go back to the 1500s, some of them.
Wow.
And those are the ones that are marked. There's literally, because it's been a site of worship for as long as it has, there's got to be graves upon graves upon graves.
Yeah.
It's positively engorged with graves.
I have a question for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you see graves other than 1800s? A lot of the graves you see in graveyards are 1800s.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of the old ones.
No. Well, I don't know whether that's dependent on the area, because I mean Kidderminster's got quite a few old grave sites. Like I said, Bewdley's got one. Well, Ribbersford, no, they've got graves from the Civil War and plague pits.
Okay.
There's graves in Kidderminster where they're like going back to the 1700s. But then I think in bigger areas, like for example, I had to look at a site in Wednesbury, and I just popped a map up because I always put a map on my reports, and it turned out that the church that was mentioned on the map no longer exists anymore, and it disappeared in the 40s. And now that there's buildings where the grave was, the graves were rather. So I don't know whether it's in bigger locations the graves get recycled or something. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it? Because you imagine how many people have died, and it's just like bodies on bodies, and like
exactly,
my house and this whole housing estate is built, on an Anglo-Saxon graveyard.
Exactly.
Even my church, it's really strange. Now, I've always been fascinated by the graves there. In particular, there's like one, like here you stand here, thee, looking at this grave, and one day it's going to be you. But obviously, it would rhyme and like what I'm saying. And another one was the fact that this guy was killed by the Times mail coach. And it tells you the history. And it gave some verse or some story with the gravestones, and they were fascinating. You don't see that a lot now, do you, either?
No, you don't. And I think it's like there's a grave at the site that we're looking at that is for someone who was a Jamaican governor, and apparently he died whilst at sea. Now, I would hazard a guess that his body is not in there. It's like with Dracula, when at Whitby, there's graves there of people who drown, but they're very positive that the bodies aren't there.
Yeah.
I think people erect these headstones to tell these stories, to remember the person, even though the physical remains aren't there.
Yeah. They do have memorials in church as well, don't you? You do see the memorials, and as a kid, I used to have to go to church, and you're kind of looking and thinking, well, is there a body under there? You always kind of wonder that, don't you?
Yeah, no, I'm exactly this. I mean,
it's terrible.
A friend of mine, we were friends when we were both teenagers, and we used to skive off school and go to Worcester, and we would take it in turns to lie in the stone coffin. And she messaged me the other month, and she's like, "Oh, do you remember when we used to do this?" And it's like, "Yeah, but the difference is I'm still doing it." And we'd sit there for hours looking at these, the stones that are on the floor in the crypt, and you're thinking, is there a dead body there or not?
Yeah.
And chances are there's not, or if there is, there's not much left of them. But
yeah, that's right.
It's that little morbid bit that's like, oh, I'm right next to a dead body now, and it's like,
yeah. Like there's a place in Nottingham as well where the land was sinking, and there's a gap between the the graves, and you think, oh gosh, but they've sorted that out last time I went. It's behind the quotation if anyone wants to check it out.
We went to a grave site that's by Vicky's house, the girl who messaged earlier. It was last year, and it'd been a rainy rain. It was an October day, raining, and we walked around, and I can just remember quite regularly your foot would sink a little bit lower than it should, and it was like, yeah, there's something not right here, and you did sort of reenactments of Poltergeist, when the skeletons start coming up. But I don't even remember what we were talking about now, if I'm honest.
Graves and
the thrill of being stood by one. It's almost that the thrill of being alive, isn't it? And you only feel more alive when you're next to someone who's not.
Yeah, it's just knowing, isn't it? Like, you know that this person was well known, or and people knew them, and then they're not here anymore, and there's nobody here who knows of them anymore.
And that's where I come into it.
And it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, and that is where you do come into it. That's
it is. Yeah, it's just I mean, I've got family members that are so far flung back that no one alive knows them, but I can find out about them, and I like to do that with anyone. I'll help anyone out with it, family trees, sites, and things. Yeah,
but it's like you might live somewhere and there's this well-known figurehead, and everyone thinks, we won't, everyone knows him, blah blah blah. But in 100 years, where's the photo of this person? And like, just because we know now doesn't mean, it's.
We're not always going to know, because it's like Chinese whispers, isn't it?
It's like your buildings as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know about the land underneath you, and like in Rutland, they discovered a mosaic floor from a Roman building. In a farmer's field, and
that's new, isn't it? That's been really recently. That's happened,
within the last year, and you don't know what's underneath you. It's just so fascinating.
No, that's the thing.
Oh, that's grim, Andy.
I know. The struggle is real, isn't it?
Oh God, no. But history is so fascinating, though.
It is.
It's like, for me, I don't know how to go out and find it, but and like, I think once you get your teeth into something as well, you just go, and it is a puzzle as well, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, it is like solving a puzzle. I'm really stubborn. I will go round the houses as much as I need to, look at loads of different, avenues to go down. Silly things like misspelling names and things like that when you look on the census, or there's lots of ways around it. You do have to be very patient, and there's a lot of detective work where you're thinking, sometimes it's like with yours. I thought I'd hit a block wall. It was like, no, this isn't happening. And then I found one very small detail that made it all fall into place. And it's like I did some research for, Stoke Museum. I've got their Museum of Horror. They asked me to look at the new building, which I did. And again, I thought, it's not working. I don't know why, but I can't get anything. And then I find something teeny tiny, and everything just fell into place. And I think
my information was from a spirit. He was under duress at a location, and somebody was doing trance mediumship. And we asked for his name, and he didn't want to give his surname. And in the end, he did. And it turns out the surname was part of his surname from what Mandy's picked up, which now means I can, The
thing is, you've got to remember that spirit was, well, not all the time, because you've got elementals, obviously, but these spirits were people at one point, and just
he
like
was nasty.
They're capable of mistakes. They're capable of lying. They're capable of manipulating.
He was nasty, and he did, He found people guilty, just for the hell of it.
Yeah, he probably did, just for the thrill of watching them hang.
No, he did, because his friends were the hangman.
Yeah.
He's admitted quite a lot. Yeah, we won't go into that, but
with that site, I remember reading up on it, how the hanging scaffolding was right outside on the entrance, and bodies were buried there. that was the other thing that blew me away. You know, as you were walking up and down, I've not been myself, hopefully I will be soon, but it's the idea that there are bodies still there of people who aren't recognised. Yes, they probably were criminals, but there's some that weren't, and they're not remembered. You know,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
and
it just blows me away.
there's like a pit down there as well.
Mm.
Oh, it's got something nasty in there.
Yeah,
we don't even think it's human. So yeah, last time we went, it was the end of the night, and it wasn't good what was down there.
Mm.
It did overshadow some. It's the National Justice Museum of Nottingham.
See, what I was wondering then, if you come across a spirit such as that, or an energy rather, what do you do with it? Do you think you're obliged to cleanse it?
No, we left it. We got out. It was the end of the night. To be quite honest, all of us had been psychically battered all night. It had been like a lot of us. The three people who worked together, so 2 groups of 3, and me in the middle, who'd got this attachment related to the place. And the energies were insane that night. And when we get together, we do a lot of the energy, sort of work a lot on the energies, and we're getting overshadowed. And it did get really, and it's being written about at the moment. And it may actually appear in a publication. Yes, maybe. Fingers crossed, like the last one did. So but it was a real heavy night. So by the time we ended up in this area, we're in an energy circle, which we tend to do because it does mean all hell kicks off basically when we do things like that. I can't
wait to see one of those in action.
We do this a lot, and it generally does kick off. You know, we're usually up for it. Question how many of us are protected, and spirits playtime as well. So you know, it's obviously not something you do on a public event, but when you get together, and it's carnage really. But by the time we got in that area, we're just so shattered, and something grim was really there. It was strong, and it did overshadow one person quite badly, so we just took him and got away from that energy. It was the end of it. We were just too tired. You know, we moved into a different area, but it wasn't. It was too late, really. We weren't going to get anything else, really, because we were just too drained.
See, this is what reminds me of something that we were talking about before, about almost paranormal first aid, because you remember I was asking you about what to do if someone is taken under, or you know, how to safely bring them out of it. Do you think there's a need for that in like the paranormal community? Because
you've got to be aware. You've got to know what you're doing.
I agree.
Because like you might get these people running events and they don't have a clue what they're doing. When I was the first time I was in an event company, I sort of did it, and if there was an issue, oh my gosh, first time it happened with that events company, oh dear, fell in who it was, God's sake, it's awful. But somebody got a salt packet out and sprinkled it on him. You know, one of his little, and like my friends still laugh about that to this day. You know, but you know, you can take things with you. You can, you know.
I agree. I think there is a need for it.
So, Phil knows. Yes, it was. But you know, you get used to knowing how to do it after a while, and
but I think that comes with the benefit of
changed as well. And I do know how to do it now, and the people around me know
you're with as well. I think, because I mean,
the people around know as well. We are that experience that we know how to do it, and luckily, when we were at the National Justice Museum last time, we did have an ordained minister with us. And as such, the spirit will keep away from us and him. So we used to stand a bit out the way. It didn't cause any issues, but he was there 3 times for us in all that night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a good night.
One you won't forget, put it that way.
No, that's it. But yeah, it was special night. But, so hopefully the next one is going to be
Yeah, I can't wait for more info.
Yeah, but we'll see on that and see what he tells us basically. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
at least we've got another name.
I was
It's
going to
weird.
say I'm wondering if you kind of shock him with knowing the info that you do, whether that's how that's going to make him react. Is he going to kick off, or I don't want to say
He'll
be
know.
submissive, but
He'll know because he'll be around me now probably.
yeah, yeah.
He'll know. Yeah, it's weird. He does. Yeah, it's random. But yeah, but paranormal, it is fascinating, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of different, and I mean, it's a different ball game to what it was years ago. I think the equipment's progressing, the experiments are progressing,
Yeah.
and the fact that I think there is a need for some kind of paranormal first aid, as it were, that
Yeah.
everyone should be made aware of. It shows that it's obviously getting darker, but I think that's more it's the change of the kind of spirits that we're dealing with. I think we are.
Is it because we're open more and we're open to the darker spirits as well
Yes,
more?
I think
When
it
I
is.
first started, it was all about love and light, but then
Yeah,
you realise that, well, no, that's not what you're surrounded with necessarily.
no, that's the thing. That yes, love and light is a beautiful idea, but
Yeah.
it's not around in real life, much less the afterlife.
Well, that's
I think.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
So,
and you've got to look at the technology. I mean, if you're dealing with someone who's passed in the last 5 years, chances are they're going to use mobile phones and all of that. You've got to allow
yeah,
for.
that's
Is that
right.
how they're going to communicate with you? Is that what's familiar to them?
Yeah,
It's not all
that's it.
Victorian ladies in high heel boots and children wandering around with balls, is it? You have to. That sounded rude. Sorry.
Yeah.
You are dealing with a different group of spirits now, a different age of spirits.
That's right, yeah.
Mhm.
And we went to a place near Stratford and we brought through a former landlord who'd passed in
Mm.
1995
Yeah.
and he was so funny on the board.
Mhm.
He kept going, ha ha. He kept spelling out ha ha all the time.
Yeah.
And he spelt out, how are you doing this?
Mhm.
So whereas we think we're talking to them, he
Mhm.
was asking us how we were using the board,
Yeah.
which is not anything I've ever come across before. You just
No,
assume, you don't even think of that question.
and that's
He
the
was
thing. That's
asking,
how
and
things are
yeah,
progressing.
and it was great to actually talk to him on somebody
Mhm.
who understands things in your terms and your,
Yeah. No.
where we're from. Oh my, he's such a fascinating spirit. And we asked him what he thought of the current landlord who he used to follow around, and the current
Mm.
landlord knew. So the current landlord was a bit squeamish, to be fair, but he knew that this the former landlord was around him at the time.
Mhm.
But then when we sort of mentioned the name of relevant names to him, he like freaked out. It was just, yeah, it was brilliant. I love that investigation. That's definitely a special one. But oh wow, we've got Gary. Gary's going to be a guest.
Oh, hello, Gary. I've heard
Sorted
lots
out.
about you.
Oh, Gary is an awesome medium. I
Yeah.
actually spoke with Gary. Met one of Gary's friends on Saturday night. He was a great medium.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was just all fascinating. Yeah, they won't tell us, Phil. They just don't tell you that bit at all. No one tells you that bit. It seems to be the unwritten rule, basically.
Yeah.
They can't tell you that bit at all. And yeah, you've tried it time and time again. And yeah, it's just not happening, is it, Gary? You'll know if you've ever asked that as well. If you've actually got an answer. But yeah, it is. Yeah. So there just seems to be something, doesn't there?
Yeah, that does. Like I said, energy doesn't die; it can only transfer, and I suppose it's what our understanding is of an afterlife, because maybe helping a grass grow is an afterlife, or your energy changing so that a petal can unfurl is an afterlife. I think you have to consider what an afterlife would be.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. What differentiates a cell in a plant from a cell from, and how come we've ended up, and that's it as well, isn't it? That is the bigger picture as well. But it's it's just all a fascinating world. So I want to thank you so much anyway for coming on. It's been absolutely awesome. It has.
No,
so,
it has. I love how we've talked about loads of different things.
Yeah, we just go off on it.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. I hope I'm not sounded a bit too dotty or gone off on tangents and rants for too many people.
We've kind of sort of stuck around the theme-ish,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, right, we find you. You do ghost walks in Bewdley. Look out for them next year.
Yeah.
So that's Bewdley Museum, yeah?
Bewdley Museum in Worcestershire. We do the paranormal events as well. So we haven't got any dates for those at the moment for next year, but they are definitely coming up. If anyone wants any spell work done, message me on Facebook, Mandy West, or same with Haunted Historian. Message me and I'll help out as much as I can on all of it. It's not a problem.
You've got it is a page or a group?
Right, well, they can either do it direct on my profile, or there's The Witch is Familiar is a page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Haunted Historian Facebook
Familiar.
page. Sorry, yeah, The Witch is
Familiar.
Yeah, that's it. And it's witches. It's not ES, it's an apostrophe S, as in a singular.
Oh, right. Good job you said that. The Witch is Familiar. Right, I've put that out there, so that's going across the channels.
Yeah, and as the Haunted Historian is a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all your normal things. So, and like I said, any problems, just send me a friend request to Mandy West, and I'll happily help out.
I can't even spell LinkedIn. On it a bit. Hey ho. Yeah, but yeah, I've put that out there as well. So if anybody wants to contact you, then yeah, there you go. But thanks everyone for listening as ever.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Take care. I'm now on the Ghost Planet Network as well. So you can go on to the Ghost Planet Network and the shows are going to go up on there as well. I've got one on there so far. So this will be uploaded. Also on YouTube. Also go out on Paranormal Path and the Things Network as well. So look after yourselves, everybody. Have a great weekend. And thank you. And it's great to see you as well the other night, Catherine. Love you. Okay. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thanks.